This is Eric Mwatha with Mwatha.com for the week of January the 30th, 2012. Let's take a look at how the market ended the week here, the final week of January 2012. We see that the Dow was closed down about 60 points down for the week, and this happened after it hit intraday 3-year high right there. So the market did try and break out. So we're gonna wait and see whether we're gonna have another successful breakout attempt, or if this is gonna be all that the market is gonna record, and probably we head lower, at least to consolidate the current move from October lows. So as it sits right now, either the market can attempt another breakout, or we can consolidate and see what happens. But as the more this breakout attempt is not fulfilled or is not successful, the more the market is going to be looking to go lower. So the market does need to break out and hold above this 12,810 level on the Dow. Otherwise, if that remains the case, of this failed breakout, we might see this market move lower over the next couple of weeks. Let's take a look at the Dow now from a daily chart. You see that it did break this week. There was a declining top line here, the blue line. So we managed to inch our way out of that, which is positive and something for the bulls to hang their hats on. But you see again this intraday reversal here. We opened higher right there and closed lower for the day, and so the last 2 days we've been down after that failed breakout attempt. Also would like to bring your attention to the fact that now we see that on the RSI, we see that there is a double top here, or what looks like a double top on the RSI daily on the Dow. And I think as much as that remains the case, we might start seeing this market struggle to hold current lofty levels. The Nasdaq on a weekly chart, again you see the Nasdaq is finding it difficult to hold above this declining top lines here. Has not been able to hold above that definitively. So we are definitely in a precarious area here. A stall of this move here, if the market rolls over here, then we might see a consolidation period, maybe even a bigger move lower. But for now, market is struggling to hold that level there. Also, if you take a look at the RSI, you'll notice that this level here is where we had stalled previously, and now stalled again here, and now we're at this area here. If the market rolls over, that's going to be your sell signal, or signal at least not to be aggressively buying the market. Now, I think that investors can still play the breakout, any quality breakout in the market, because we see that as of this close, we see that the QQQ is closing on a strong follow-through after it broke out above 59.32. So we see as long as this market stays above 59.32 on QQQ weekly chart, then there is a possibility of this market pushing higher. Even though I have to note that the RSI is still at a level where we could see a reversal. So the RSI is not giving us a very strong buy signal, but price is giving us a buy signal. We'll see whether the price is going to continue moving higher, but as long as it remains on a breakout level, then we can at least look for quality breakouts. Now this is a very interesting monthly chart for the Nasdaq 100. Interesting in the sense that as of this month's move in the market, this is potentially going to be the highest close, depending on where we close for the month of January. We have 2 more trading days, but this is the highest intraday move, at least we can say that, for the Nasdaq 100, going back all the way to January of 2001. So we are looking at an 11-year high, close to an 11-year high. That has to be monumental. So at this rate, you really have to be cautious here not to be bearish, because this is a kind of situation where a market can take off and not look back. So we really have to be careful. That's why I keep saying the market could turn around, but we need to be careful and play quality breakouts, because some things in the market are showing strength. And this is a very interesting chart here that shows us almost an 11-year breakout on the Nasdaq. That could set the stage for a massive rally. So be careful not to call, not to question every rally. There's some things, and this chart to me is the strongest chart that I've seen that could indicate absolute strength, upside momentum as far as the Nasdaq is concerned. Now, should we fail to hold these levels and maybe roll over, then we can say that was another false breakout and probably we go lower. But for now, given that chart by itself, you should be looking for quality breakouts, because this thing, given this setup, could move this market much higher, and that's the risk if you stay bearish all the time. This market could take off. Just take a look at the banking index, the BKX. We see that this yellow shaded area, it's been finding it difficult to stay above that. It's been consolidating here over the last month, last couple of weeks. So it's very hard to decide whether it's gonna blast off this area here. We might either get a strong move above the 200 moving average, or we could be pushing lower. Now this is again confusing part because we could either stall or break out, but for now we're finding it difficult to rally above that level. So let's see. Let's not make any conclusion. Let's wait and see what happens. It could be that it breaks out of here, of this level, and goes to the for a strong rally, or it continues and stalls. So I don't want to make a decision based on that. If I take a look at the BKX on a weekly chart, trying to figure out where the direction is, the one positive thing, if you're bullish, is that we see that we have the possibility of a crossover of the moving averages. Then again, from the bearish standpoint, is we see that the banking index can seem to move above this very long, almost 2.5 year declining line, this red line here. We have not been able to move above that, going back many months, almost 1.5, 2 years. So that's the case. So the banking index could be moving higher, but there's some resistance as far as I can tell. The RSI could be turning around with a negative close this week, so I would wait to see what happens. But as of right now, indecisive with a slight feeling that the banking index is not your leadership sector for sure. You don't want to place very strong bets there, because other sectors in the market, like I just showed you, the Nasdaq might be leading this market higher, but not the financial space. XHB, which we've been watching mainly because it's been one of those areas in the market that has been trying to break out, and we see that this week we are at least holding above this declining line here. We are holding above that, but now we are finding resistance on the underside of this long-term weekly trend line here. So we are actually in a no man's land again here. I don't want to make a very strong prediction here. In fact, net we still have to break out of that level there. That green line corresponds to a weekly close going back all the way to March, April of 2010, and we've not been able to really have a strong move about that. All I'm trying to say is that here's another area of the market where we could finding it difficult to move higher, or another way of saying that is that the market seems frothy on some levels, like the XHB. Now let's take a look at the ERX, which is a 3 times energy bull ETF. What I want to point out here is the RSI. If you check the highs on the RSI, which tracks sentiment among other things, take that straight line and see that early in the week we hit that level and we are pulling back. Net, what that tells us is that more than likely we see that the energy space might have seen a short-term high and could be pulling lower. The dollar had 2 disastrous down weeks over the last 2 weeks, and mainly because the RSI, take a look at the dollar's RSI chart, you'll see that this area here was an area of trouble. Once it turned around here, I say that more than likely that would be reason for the dollar to go down, and we see that the dollar is struggling. But now we have to question whether it's gonna have a bounce, given that the RSI support line is exactly where it ended the trading week. So this could be where the dollar, as low as the dollar goes, and maybe the next move in the dollar short term is going to be to the upside. That would be my read on this chart based on where the RSI support, as shown by this line here. Now here's the XRT, and I think this is one of the areas in the market, the retail space, that is trying to break out. We'll see whether it holds. Not very sure. We need a quality breakout. Right now we can say it's had a what seems like a cap and a handle, and a breakout here. See whether it holds, see whether the retail space is going to be following the Nasdaq in holding its breakout level. So for now, we'll see what shapes out, but I was just pointing this out because some sectors in the market are trying to break out, some are finding it difficult. It's a very tricky market right now, but as long as the market is pushing higher slowly by slowly, you have to play breakouts until we see the market collapse on its own weight, on its own action. Now, one of the things that I've been talking about that might give the bulls in this market a lot of momentum is the fact that the VIX has been struggling. Volatility has really come down, and usually when you have this declining volatility, the market does tend to creep higher very slowly, but eventually moves higher. So as long as this remains the case, I'm going to default to a market that wants to rally, so we play breakouts until the market collapses on its own weight. This is Eric Mwatha with Mwatha.com. Short video, mainly because last week's video is still relevant since the market closed down for the week, so nothing has really changed that much. So last week's video, I believe, is still relevant. This week's video is slightly short, but I think it still hits on the major segments of this market. Eric Mwatha with Mwatha.com. Peace and blessings.